Welcome to part 5 of my series, using key elements to compose a successful photo. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 4 yet, where we covered focal points, perspective, backgrounds, and using light, I recommend checking those out first. Each part works together to help you build a strong foundation in photo composition. Also, don't forget, this series on photo composition is loosely based on a book by Tom Clark titled Digital Photography Composition for Dummies. I highly recommend purchasing this book. Prints are hard to find new, but used copies can be found. Also, Amazon does have the Kindle version available. Today, we're focusing on one of the final but vital elements of composition: framing. Just as a physical picture frame shows a viewer where to look when the picture's hanging on the wall, you can create a similar effect in your photo by using natural or artificial elements to frame your subject. This technique draws attention to your subject and keeps the viewer's eye focused on the most important part of your composition. There are many ways to frame your subject. Number 1, natural elements. Use tree branches, bushes, or flowers to surround your subject. Number 2, architectural features. Look for windows, doorways, or arches to create a visual frame. Number 3, light and shadows. Even light itself can be used to frame your subject by directing attention through bright or dark areas. The frame can be positioned behind your subject to give depth, or in front of your subject to create layers and intrigue. By mastering framing, you can create more dynamic, focused compositions that keep your viewer engaged. Now let's break down a few important factors to consider when framing your subject. Number 1, perspective. Perspective is a key element when it comes to framing. Whether you are close to the frame or far away from it, your camera angle can change the size relationship between the frame and your subject. For example, moving closer to a frame like a window or a tree branch can make it appear much larger, while stepping back can shrink its impact, allowing the subject to take center stage. Number 2, depth of field. Depth of field can help control whether the frame supports your subject or competes with it. A shallow depth of field can blur the framing elements, making them soft and subtle, while keeping the subject in focus. This is particularly useful when you want the frame to remain secondary and the subject to stand out. Conversely, a deeper depth of field will bring both the frame and the subject into focus, which can change the dynamic of your composition and sometimes even make the frame itself part of the story. Number 3, merging lines or shapes. Be mindful of any lines, shapes, or other elements in your frame that could distract from your subject. Merging lines or shapes such as a tree branch appearing to grow out of someone's head, or a building cutting through the subject can pull attention away from where it should be. The goal is to guide your viewer's eyes to your subject and keep them inside the frame. By paying close attention to how elements interact, you can avoid visual distractions and create cleaner, more effective compositions. Aspect ratio: vertical, horizontal, and square formats. Another important decision in framing your composition is choosing the right aspect ratio. Should your photo be vertical, horizontal, or square? Let's explore a few of these to consider. Number 1, subject. The subject often determines which format will work best. Portraits typically shine in vertical formats because they emphasize the subject's height and features, while landscape photography often benefits from a horizontal format which allows you to capture the sweeping vistas and broader environment. Number 2, composition balance. In some cases, your subject and frame may lend themselves to one format over another. Think about how the frame will balance with the subject. Vertical compositions tend to focus attention upwards and downwards, while horizontal formats create more breathing room side to side. Number 3, square format. Square format is another option, especially popular on social media platforms where space is limited. This format works well for symmetrical compositions or when you want to eliminate excess space around your subject. It's a great option for scenes where simplicity and balance are key. Framing is a powerful compositional tool that helps guide your viewer's eye to your subject and keeps them engaged within the image. By using natural or architectural frames, paying attention to depth of field, perspective, and choosing the right format, you can create more intentional, focused, and impactful photos. I really want to thank you for joining me on this journey through the 5 key elements of photo composition. I hope you found the series helpful and inspiring as you continue to develop your photography skills. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and remember, composition is what transforms a good photo into a great one. Take care, everyone.